Welcome to PPR podcast number 60, brought to you by Renovation Realty. My name is Paul. Off to my right is Bert. For any of you who want to buy some of that cool PPR gear that Bert is wearing, go to scan the QR code you see at the bottom of the screen, and you can perhaps walk away with a cool PPR garment like that one. Bert, would you like to introduce our guest?
I would. Matt Marquez from Crawford High, who's looking like he's about to drop his third album right now. Man.
Hey, Coach. All right, let's start with the news that is breaking as we record this. Your reaction to Tom Brady getting a divorce. Would you like to comment on it, Coach?
It's the first I heard of it. Tom Brady's in a different world. I don't really concern myself with what they got going on.
Fair enough. Huh?
Have you dropped any DMs to Gazelle right now? Gazelle?
Now that you guys told me, I'm not.
Well, Coach, the reason why we're having you on is it all started from last week's podcast with Tracy McNair. I'm not sure if you saw it or not, but your name came up, and we're kind of on a tour of coaches that are making a difference in their community. And for the second week in a row, we're now speaking to a coach who played at the school he is coaching. Can you talk a little bit about that?
And I also play for Tracy McNair. So, like I said in my interview, it didn't get posted, but me winning Coach of the Week kind of goes to show that he taught us more than X and O's. He taught us about life. He taught us, how to be good men.
Well, we should just say congratulations on being PPR Coach of the Week last week.
Oh, yeah, he was. And then finished it up with a 62-3 win right after that. It wasn't a jinx at all. Usually, like, when you pick them, they're usually jinxed and they lose the following week. But Matt broke that cycle.
It's the newspaper got us the jinx every time they do an article on this.
So, Coach, I got a question for you, because I don't know if I follow you on social media, so I know, but people won't know. You're 5-1 right now, right?
Yes.
So shouldn't you have 5 chains on and not 2?
I only wore 2 for the interview. I didn't want to blind the cameras. I got 5.
But so you're gonna wear another one? You're gonna have another one? You wear them just game day? You'll have 5 on this week?
Yeah, it just depends on, sometimes I wake up in the morning and I forget to put them on, but for game days I like to, be fresh shaved, shining a little bit.
So we might see you at the end of the playoffs, CIF, wearing like 10, 12 chains at the end.
Hunched over.
It's starting to get kind of expensive. I mean, I don't like little small chains, so, we'll see.
Well, Coach, tell us a little bit about your life. For the people who don't know your life story, can you walk us through it from your days at Crawford to now?
After I graduated high school, went to Southwestern for a year, got hurt, kind of got lost in the shuffle of life, and figured the military would kind of straighten me out. So I went to the military, did 3 tours in Iraq, came home, played a little more JUCO up in the Antelope Valley, and then decided to take my future into my own hands, literally. And I started fighting in the cage and fighting in the ring and stuff. And then when I moved back to San Diego, I drove by the school, seen they only had a couple coaches, and stopped in. And ever since then, it's been me coaching.
So how, Coach, I coached at Hoover for a while, and it was they're similar to Crawford. They're right down the street. I mean, the biggest thing we had there, I remember, was trying to change the culture. Like, how did you go about, because, you've changed it completely there to, how did you go about doing that? Was that hard? Did it take more time than you thought, less time than you thought?
It wasn't as hard as a brand new coach coming into a school, because I was already here as an assistant before I took over as a head coach. So the kids already knew me, and, I'm an alumni, so I'm familiar with the neighborhood. I'm familiar with who goes to the school. A lot of these kids, I went to school with their family or played with their family members, so it's a lot of familiarity with the kids in the neighborhood.
Did that give you more credibility coming out of the gate, do you think?
I think so, because some of the, like the kids that I'm coaching now, a lot of their older brothers and cousins played for me when I first started coaching, so they remember being little kids, like watching those games. It's pretty cool now, because they can, when I bring up a story, they remember, like, yeah, I was there too. So
I want to go back to the tours in Iraq. Tell us about that. It was crazy. It's like you think like with all the training you do and watching movies and reading books and stuff, you think what's gonna happen, and you get out there and you're just completely shocked. Like it's a completely different world. Take us through your scariest day. Every day. Like I would shave my face in the morning in case I died. I want to look good. Literally every step you take, the ground can blow up underneath you. So you're always at this level up here. And when you come back, you're always searching for that level, So I think that's part of the reason why I started fighting and
doing those things because I was looking for something to fill that void.
But does it help put things in perspective, though? I mean, because you encountered life and death for a period of time in your life that most of us we don't get it. We don't face that. So does that help put things in perspective? Like, because then the things that we get all hung up on, the wins and losses in a high school football game, really at the grand scheme of things, we put too much emphasis on that, not enough emphasis on the men and women fighting in a foreign land, right? I mean, does it help with perspective, I guess is the question I'm asking.
Yeah, it helps put things in perspective. There's a lot of coaches that, losing a football game is probably the worst thing that's ever happened in their life, and I've lost friends over there. So, it really puts things in perspective. Like losing a football game, if that's the worst thing that ever happened in your life, like you have a pretty good life.
Yeah, I'll say.
Now you ask these deep questions, and then you set me up because I'm gonna ask some stupid question. I look like an idiot.
Well, I mean,
you do that on purpose.
Step forward and be who you are.
Coach, thanks. That is my role. I'm Ed McMahon. I'll just laugh. Hey, the one thing I noticed about Crawford, and like I said, I would always watch him, but your quarterback, I think, is Nguyen, and Sharif, the running back. Like, were these guys always on campus, or were they playing other sports? You just found them? Because I don't remember ever seeing guys like that at Crawford on football. Other sports, yes, but like, were they playing other sports, or they just didn't want to play football before? Where are these guys coming from?
I feel like I do a good job of engaging the kids on campus and recruiting the hallways. When I first got hired as security, like that was my favorite thing to do, just walk up and down in the hallways. How come you don't play football? How come you don't play football? How come you don't play football? And, just engaging the kids. A lot of, I think kids these days, like, they want you to interact with them first before they interact with you. I feel like that's something that's lost over the years. So just been engaged with these kids, but these kids that are seniors now, they all played flag football at Horseman together, and they've been playing for 4 years together here. So the familiarity with each other also helps on the field.
What's the lesson, Tracy McNair, that is still ringing in your ears right now?
A lot of the stuff I do on the field is Tracy, the things that he did. Discipline, he was always big on discipline because we were always an athletic team. We just weren't as disciplined, So that's a big thing for me this year is just being disciplined.
So I'm going to go back to your teaming because I'm fascinated by you guys because it's almost like when I watched Charles James early at San Diego High, it was just, a crap show, and then he just turned this into this perennial powerhouse and culture and everything. It was funny because like the first 2 games of the year, I remember you guys had to have like last minute, last play comebacks. And it's almost like then the kids started believing, and now you're just rolling over people. Did you guys see that coming in? Like you kids don't see like if you can win games last minute, back to back like that, what it means character-wise and for a team. They don't get it. The coaches usually do, but it seems like the kids are getting it now, and they're just rolling over people and clicking.
Yeah, they're starting to buy in. They're starting to believe a little bit more as they see, we're pretty good this year. As long as we don't beat ourselves. As long as life doesn't get in the way, I like our chances for the rest of the year.
Well, let's expand on that. I mean, what are the numbers like? It used to. I saw the Colts under Tracy McNair seemed to have a lot of participation. Then I saw it wane. Now I see those numbers coming back. Do you have enough bodies to get through a season?
We got more than enough bodies. We actually didn't have enough helmets earlier in the year. Saints gave us 3. Thank you, Saints. La Jolla Country Day gave us 2. Thank you, La Jolla Country Day. And we were able to outfit everybody. I think we got up to 88 total in the program.
Wow.
So, 47, 48 on JV and, 35, 36 on varsity.
Man.
The corral is back, huh?
Yeah, we actually had so many freshmen that Tri-City didn't have a JV team, so we scheduled a freshman game with Army-Navy so our freshmen can get some reps.
I got another question because I follow social media. You don't. There's been some debates behind the scenes.
Okay.
Who stole from who and started who? Because Lincoln brings out the boombox and the warm-ups, and so do you. Did they steal it from you, or did you steal that from them?
I seen how they got down to 7-on-7. I like the music.
All right.
So when they got a boombox, I said I got to get a bigger one.
It is. I was always and everyone's like, who stole that from who? But it's pretty cool actually when it comes out. I like that.
Well,
yeah,
Matt,
those, Lincoln, Lincoln and Madison, they're in our league for track, so we see those guys a lot over the years. So I just try to emulate what the good programs do, and hopefully it works here.
And you've used as a tool social media. Explain to us is that you, or is that someone that you feed stuff to? How does the social media thing work in the corral?
My account, that's for me. Like nobody's posting my thoughts or ideas. The Crawford coach football, me and Coach Mooney, the defensive coordinator, we both run that. He's a little more technical. He has the graphics and stuff like that. So, and he's a great addition to the program. He has a drone. He's flying that practice every day. So we have drone footage. He does all the edits. The camera, we have sideline camera. So, when you guys aren't there, we still have our footage to post and stuff like that. So it's a great addition. All of our staff, Coach Lai, Coach Ramos, Coach Sparks, Coach Phillips, for being not together for a long time, we mesh really well.
Do you see yourself as a lifer, or are you going to be like Coach James and be a PPR guy in a couple of years? Retire young, maybe go to college. Coach at college. Or do you see yourself at Crawford for a long time?
I see myself here forever. I don't think I could be the same coach at a different place because it's not the same place. It's not a place that I love. So I feel like a lot of things I do here is out of love.
Do you teach as well?
No, I'm a security on campus.
You ever have to use the MMA on them or no? Anybody test
when I get there, everyone kind of relaxes.
So, Matt, the impression you get from you is you're a no-nonsense guy. You've seen a lot of life in a very short period of time. Do you ever kick back and have fun? Or
All the time.
So when you're not talking to two bozos like us on a podcast, what do you do to get away from football a little bit?
Life is fun. Like you said, after doing the things that I've done, like relaxing is fun. Like doing nothing is fun. Just being alive is fun.
What about, and my other thing, and I'm going to keep going back to the culture thing because people don't realize, half the battle with culture is with the kids, but the other half's with your staff. Do you have
school administration?
Oh yeah, administration. I don't even bring that up, but do you have trouble like finding the right coaches to fit your culture and your vision and what you want to do? Because the whole staff, it's not just you have to go JV level, freshmen, they all have to be on the same page. Has that been a problem?
Not at all. I've actually hired a couple people that were here for a year and they went somewhere else, because they thought it was better to go somewhere else, or, they had a different opportunity and, they still come back and support us and stuff like that. So I've been pretty lucky with the hires I've made. They fit. It's kind of a feel, like when I interview them and talk to them, if I get the feel for them, I feel like they're going to fit in, then they usually make a good fit.
Yeah, because get
support from the administration, great. They're always at the games. Our athletic director, she works with me side by side. So couldn't be a better setup right now.
Because you get a lot of coaches. You watch PPR and you say, oh, I want to go to this school because they're doing this, this, and this. And then you realize you don't get paid any money and it's not fun. And it's like, all right, I want to be somewhere it's fun where I like the kids. And because I'm spending 30, 40 hours a week and not getting a dime, I just don't want to be there because we're winning. I want to be there because it's fun and I like the kids.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like on the weekends and stuff, I tell the coaches, relax, hang out with your family. I'll come do the laundry. I'll do all that stuff. Like, no worries, like you're giving me enough of your time Monday through Friday. So I'll give you your time on Saturday and Sunday.
Well, let's talk a little bit about being the head coach at Crawford. Might be a little bit different than being a head coach at, say, a bigger school. What goes on? Is laundry really part of your day?
Yeah, there's a stack of pants right now in the middle of the locker room that I'm about to wash.
Wait, do you guys have the laundry bags?
No, we don't got laundry loops or nothing like that. So I just tell them to put it in the pile on the little plastic tubs.
Yeah.
And I just kind of like.
Because you get them bags and they bring.
We have the old washing machine and dryer. You can put a whole set of uniforms in there and wash it in one load. So it's not that much work.
Don't use the bags because kids will bring the whole family laundry in there. You doing his dad's underwear, everything.
I remember in college it used to be jeans and socks.
Yeah.
All type of stuff on the laundry.
Dirty underwear. It's like, wait a minute, it's supposed to be uniform.
Well, Coach, I'm sorry, but that's incredible. So this has got to be 24/7 for you then, as far as being a Colts head coach.
Yeah, I used to coach football, wrestling, and track. And then when I took over as head coach of football, I had to give up wrestling because it was just too time consuming, And
yeah.
I want to give football the full attention, making a new schedule, sending off the helmets, doing all that stuff that, head coaches have to do.
So you still coach track?
Yes.
So what do you think? We talk about 7-on-7 versus track all the time, and it's one or the other or balance to both. What do you think? I like balance to both.
I say I do both. Me being the football and track coach, I can kind of control the schedule a little bit better.
Yeah.
So I try not to have too many Saturday meets to where the kids are active 7 days a week. You know, you still want to give them a little bit of rest. You know, give them that Saturday off. Let them play 7-on-7 on Sundays. And then when CIF finals roll around, hey, give me a couple weeks for these finals, and then you can go back to 7-on-7.
Who do you guys got this week?
Kearney.
Kearney, all right.
But I used to be.
I think he's on Dine and Dash this week, too. Are you on Dine and Dash this week?
Nah, we couldn't find a place close enough.
Well, make that happen, Coach.
We'll try.
We'd like to showcase the kids. On a serious note, and pardon me for bringing up heartbreaking stuff, but the Crawford basketball community suffered that horrific loss of the young man who drowned swimming. And I was wondering, with your experience in life and death, were you able to console kids who are dealing with, in some cases, death for the first time? It was Woodlain, right?
Yeah. What I did is basically just told the kids, hey, if you need anyone to talk to, I'm here. Our church youth group, they set up a little meeting at the church down the street. And then the next day I went and bought a bunch of roses and prayer candles so the kids could light and, start a little memorial for them.
How do you, when faced with that job, I know the grief of the kids is hard to deal with, but what can you say? How do you console somebody who is, that heartbroken?
You honestly don't have to say nothing. You just have to be there. I remember when my father passed away during track season a couple years ago, I went and took care of business that I had to take care of. And when I came back, the kids were there for me just like I'm there for them. So I've seen it both ways.
So when I was at Hoover again, I want to talk about this because, they're older schools. They have great alumni, but the neighborhood's changed so much. I remember at Hoover, we probably had, it's like the United Nations. You have 30 different languages spoken on campus. Some kids can't practice because of Ramadan or they're fasting. Mm-hmm. Are you still getting a lot of alumni support, or is it just a whole new generation of Crawford Colts coming in there to go to the games?
Yeah, actually, a lot of support from the alumni that I went to school with, and we just have a new association, the Team Crawford Athletic Association. They're actually doing a lot of things this year, a lot of big things. So they've been a huge support for us this year.
Got to get out to a Crawford game for Game of the Week.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We'll make it happen. Coach me something. Teach me something that, like if I was a Crawford coach, what's the thing I'm going to hear come out of your mouth the most as far as life lessons?
On time is late, early is on time.
On time. Is that Vince Lombardi's?
Yeah, Vince Lombardi says Lombardi time. If you're not 15 minutes early, you're late.
I go by that.
Yeah.
All right, Coach. I'm going to.
You had to be there everywhere 15 minutes early, or plan to be there 15 minutes early, so if something happens on the way, you get there on time.
I know it's not your division, but I know you watch football. Give me right today. We have to do the 4 open division teams. Who are you picking?
Lincoln,
all 4.
Lincoln. Yeah,
all 4. All right.
The other teams, they look decent, but Lincoln is by far and above better than everyone I've seen so far. And you got Roger Robertson. Can't go wrong with that.
And Josiah Cox.
And too many names. They got
there's a lot of names.
Name after name after name.
The thing that jumped out at me, Matt, as when they were warming up playing the JV game at against the Dons, and Cathedral always has as many guys on JV as they do on varsity. But I looked over at the Lincoln sideline, and suddenly, instead of just seeing 15 guys over there was just as many guys. So they've turned the corner as far as creating. They're like Cathedral. They want to build a national program. What are your aspirations for the Crawford program? Can you build Crawford into a Lincoln?
There's almost 3,000 kids in the neighborhood. If we can get them to come to Crawford every year instead of getting on the bus and going to other places, the more kids to choose from, the better we'll be.
And so how do you do that?
Just keep winning, keep, doing the things the kids like, smoke bombs, videos, edits, all this stuff. You gotta put yourself in their shoes. What's attracting them to go to this place? What's attracting them to go to that place? And if you can do it, and hopefully they come.
So is that what you just named?
Winning's the most important. If you're not winning, they're not gonna come over there and just because you got some cool uniforms.
But things like smoke, what Matt kind of reminds me of. He's really tapped into the 18-year-old kid. Are you an 18-year-old kid on the inside?
Man, being around kids keeps you young.
Well, it's true because I mean, you look at every recruiting video at every major college now, and that's what it is, and that's what kids want. And I mean, you either do it or you don't. I don't. The recruiting's funny because you always get one guy like Brian Kelly that looks like he's out of place doing it, but then the next guy looks perfectly, legit doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So, Matt, tell me, if you can, your best day as a Crawford head coach, and what was your worst day as a Crawford head coach?
Best day as a Crawford head coach? Probably last Friday. We went 7 for 8 with the linemen running 2-point conversions and watching them come off the sideline after scoring, and like still 2-3 quarters later, they're shocked, like, "Coach, I scored. I'm like, yeah. So that was pretty fun, pretty rewarding. Guys that usually never going to touch the ball in 4 years, they got to actually score. So
you let them run. You let them run what, out of short power formation or something?
We call it Rhino. It's 2 tight ends, 4 backs, basically a T formation in gun, and we just handed them the ball. You got 10 people blocking for you. Go score.
The fridge type deal.
Yep.
So, Coach, you mentioned earlier because we had something about Warner Springs doesn't have a scoreboard or running water or some other things. What do you do? I mean, because you're building the program up so much, and you talked about having to get helmets earlier. Like how do you go about? Because I know how San Diego Unified is. It's like you have a certain amount, but then they'll be like, don't bring on any more than 80 kids, and then because we're not giving you more than 80 helmets. How do you make up that gap? Because I mean, next year after this season, you're probably going to have 20, 30 kids more than that. And how do you make up the gap every year in helmets and equipment?
Well, hopefully, whatever's going on at Rydell is fixed, and we can get all the helmets that we were supposed to get. And if not, we'll just have to do trades like this year, and hopefully other teams aren't as full as we are. We can get some of their helmets.
Oh, so it's not a money thing; it's a supply chain thing.
Yeah, supply chain.
Oh, okay. I thought this was a money thing the whole time.
No.
Do you ever take a moment?
I guess there was a fire in the factory like a couple years ago, and they're still not back up to production.
Coach, you ever take a moment to say, "Hey, look what I've done here"? This is one of the worst kept or one of the best kept secrets. What you've done at Crawford, it really deserves a bright light shining on it, and yet, no, I don't think everyone knows about it or appreciates what you've done. You've changed. That team was on the way of going. It was on the way to 8-man football. In fact, I don't know if you played 8-man football for a little while or not, but the program was on the brink of being done, was it not?
Yeah, I remember when I was living in LA and I was reading the newspaper and seeing that Crawford couldn't finish the season because of grades or numbers or whatever. I just thought, man, that's not good. So, when I was assistant, we went to three championship games. So when I took over, it wasn't like all the way like run down. It was a good operation. I just, took it over and ran with it.
Right coach at the right spot.
And it also helps they have the facility, right? I mean, the corral is much improved. Can you talk a little bit about what that made?
Yeah, when I first started coaching, we were still playing over at the Dust Bowl across the street, which is now the baseball field. No lights, wooden bleachers, dirt track. So, I don't blame any of the kids that left during that time, because who would want to play at 3 o'clock when you can play Friday night lights every week? So now that we have the same facilities as everybody else, it makes things a lot better. And it's not, you don't have to walk through the neighborhood and go across the street to go to football practice every day.
And do you have a feeder, like a youth AYF or Pop Warner youth feeder program?
We don't right now. A couple of the assistant coaches are trying to work on getting that done. So if anybody can help us with that or knows who to talk to. And then now with the middle school flag football going on, we're going to go over there and coach that.
Because that would seem to me to be the next. It seems like the consistent element between every successful program is the feeder system. And in some cases having more than one. Feeder system and 7-on-7.
Yeah.
It seemed like that's a prerequisite for high school football success in 2022. Am I wrong?
Yeah, it definitely helps. In the 10 years coaching here, I've probably had 10 to 12 guys that played youth football. So the other guys, it takes them a little longer to get up to speed. But once they get up to speed, they're just as good as the guy that played youth. And, 7-on-7, our defensive coordinator, Kendall Mooney, he runs a little 7-on-7 team. Not as big as the other, all-star teams, but he gets kids from our league, Kearney, Mission Bay, anybody that wants to play, they give them reps.
So just to reiterate that, 12 or so that have ever played youth football. So when you come in there, you got to show them how to put on the pads, do the chin strap, like get in a stance. People don't realize that. That's like
all of the above.
That's crazy.
Tell the teammates like, hey, don't let your guy go out there all jacked up. Fix his chin straps, put his pads in the right place. Help him out. Like there's a bunch of us out here. There's only one me, so let's all help each other out.
Man, that's crazy.
Jeez, Coach, I have nothing but profound respect for what you've accomplished. I just think it's the coolest story. Can I go back?
You're way over time, so do what you always do.
Matt, can you hang for a couple more minutes?
Yeah.
I want to go back to being in the military, and what was that like being? I mean, did you mentioned every day you're afraid to put a foot in front of another foot? Do you ever get used to that, or are you always? Where are your eyes? Are your eyes down on the ground for looking for little discrepancies in the ground, or are your eyes up looking for somebody with a rifle sticking out a window? How do you? That sense of paranoia, does that ever go away?
Sometimes it sticks with you at different points, but I was more scared of the ground blowing up than getting shot. These guys aren't really good shooters, so my eyes were looking down, and really what they were doing is putting two pieces of metal connected to a wire, connected to a 9-volt battery, and then as soon as you step on it, they touch, completes the circuit, boom. So my eyes were always looking on the ground or trying to step in somebody else's footprints, because if he didn't blow up, I shouldn't blow up either.
And so how many days, if you had to measure in days over in a combat zone, are we talking years? Are we talking months? What was it?
19 months total.
Jeez.
In a 2-year period.
And seeing combat?
Every day.
Wow.
Every day except laundry day, because then we would have to go back to Camp Fallujah, do our laundry, get to eat at the chow hall. I would always get like 5 scoops of ice cream, and everyone's looking at me crazy, and I'm like, I could die tomorrow, so I'm about to eat my ice cream,
So that's why you like Laundry Day, Crawford. I see why you're doing it by yourself.
I was going to say, that makes sense to me now, because I would look forward to Laundry Day instead of...
Yeah, I made sure I was always on that laundry trip.
All right, well, Matt, we appreciate the time and your service. We appreciate you. So, it's going to get bigger even from here, right? We're going to be doing this again at some point.
Hopefully we're hosting, states.
Wow.
That's the goal.
There'll be a lot of chains if you go to state. You could give me one at one of the games.
So hold it. Am I missing something? Is there a chain for every win?
Yeah. He's just not wearing all 5 right now, but
there is now, yeah.
Game day he wears the amount of chains or
wins. I
wins.
had 4 last week. We won on Friday, so I said I'm gonna go get a 5th one.
So where do you go?
I don't have kids or a wife, so.
I know, but I wouldn't even know where to go buy a chain. Where do you buy a chain? At a costume shop, or where do you get them?
Yeah, you going real or you getting like Fan Mart? What are you doing? Which one?
Nah, this is real jewelry store.
Oh man, you better start throwing games.
Jeez. Jeez, that's a lot of money to have hanging around your neck. All right, well, Matt.
I said, don't have kids, don't get married, be good with your money, and anything's possible.
Well, congratulations. We hope this ride continues, and thank you for making time for the PPR and for our podcast. Brought to you by Renovation Realty, Colts head coach Matt Marquez.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck this week.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.